they came as a pressing, and it was an apprentice job to fit them. So when I say fit them, they didn't fit. So you had to chase these lines in. And there's a series of 2BA bolts there. You had to get that little corner in. But there was a wooden version of this, and once the wings were all mounted on there, in the lead load...
A wooden version of the grill, of the front.
So that would have been in the lead loading metal finishing section, and they would have built these faces up with lead, and they were sculpted to fit the wooden version of that grill.
Who made the grills in Crewe?
They came from Crewe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exclusively from Crewe, and then fitted at our place, you know.
So iconic.
But these were bought in pressings. These were bought in from Lucas, probably Lucas or someone like that. These were made in a brass shop. This is like the signature of Mulliner Park Ward. You know, I don't know if you know this.
No, I did not know that.
So on the James
they
Young
are one of the most beautiful door handles.
That's the same as the one in my place over there. But the square, if you see one with the square, that's James Young. So there was a little signature. They're almost heraldic, aren't they? You know, they've got
They certainly are.
They're like a dagger. If you have that without the button, it looks like a dagger. But they were made in a brass shop on the first floor.
And if the ones that came subsequently are lovely, but they're not as delicate.
No,
they're much heavier door handle, but they're a nice door handle.
Yeah, but that's
this is just so elegant.
And that is a signature piece from Mulliner Park Ward. These are brass underneath. These were made in the brass shop as well. These frames on there.
Yeah, we were talking about the body.
Yes.
So you would have been presented with.
Along the line from the body makers, it would rumble along, and it would be it's not a chassis, it's the floor pan and the bulkheads.
So the floor pan, so you've got twin bulkheads here, and you've got twin,
at the back, little bit sticking up at the back, and a bit of framework, and
But essentially, all the panels have to go on the doors.
All the skins.
All the skins.
Yeah.
The roof is the roof on?
No. So the bonnet, the boot, and the doors, all aluminium. They would have been made in the panel shop. Put together in the panel shop, and they would have been hung by the door people who were the other union, the T&G. So
hanging a door on a car, I can imagine on a coach-built car must be.
It's unbelievable. Well, these are built up by the panel beaters. Would weld along there, TIG weld. So there's lead here, so there would be a structure. But when it came to the clearancing and levelling, all this was pecked back. There's a whole to get it open. We had this set of gauges, which I've got a set over there, that were made in the tool room, and there was specific to this clearance, that clearance, So this is aluminium, and that's built up with aluminium weld, then filed down, nice little radius on them.
To get the exact.
That's it, and it mustn't stick, it mustn't rattle. In fact, that door's not hung very well there. Over the years, it's sagged a bit. So that was on a separate stage, but the stage you were talking about there, we would put on this what we called the rear tonneau. So it was a rear wing. The saddle panel was welded through there. The back panel was welded down there.
So the panel would be from about here. Would it be the full?
So no. So the panel would be wing, saddle panel, back panel. So and we called it the rear tonneau, and
which would be the full.
So that area there, wing, there's an assembly.
Yeah.
And before it went on, we go around with a huge hammer, tapping down high spots that otherwise will protrude on the inner body. Yeah. And but there's a gap. There's an oxyacetylene gas weld running down there, all planished and filed out. And similar down the back there. These, because the tooling wore out, there was certain times a disproportionate amount of lead on that face there. Can you hear that? There's lead there. These are aluminium, obviously. So once we put those on,
what do you mean the tooling wore out? What does that mean?
We've got tools. You've got a bit. You say it's a 16th out. It physically wore out. The patterns and the tooling that you went up to.
That's the buck. Is it?
That's it. So the buck. So if it wore out at key points before they it was cheaper to have some lead put on there, and that machined off and filed off by the lead loaders, metal finishers, than it was to re-engineer the whole thing, because it was a very small volume, really, compared to most cars factories. Yeah, this obviously being a fixed head. Has got the roof. There's a join about there. It's brazed and welded and lead loaded down the pillar, and then here. is where it's clinched, which is a self-secured joint underneath there.
Actual
A return and it's a self-secured joint, like a clinch on a door frame. And you probably can't see it, but there's a little scar there. And everyone that fitted these roofs, me as a Barbary youth, the age of 18, you'd have a hand weight on top and a huge mallet, and you have to dress them over a little bit at a time, and you were sure you were never going to get the scar that everyone had ever. And then one day you'd let out a scream and it was split, and the boys on the line would cheer, and you'd become one of them.
You've got the scar.
Yeah, so and it was just how we got through the day.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, as much pride as we had, particularly on the line and with the spot welders, and you're in a full overall, you're inside, and this was a terrifying job. I just remembered when you finished that, you would inside the car with a huge air-powered scurfer, sander, and this thing, you'll be there, aged 18, and if it caught, it was terrifying. There'd be an almighty bang as the disc went, into places like that, and it would cause you major, yeah. So you didn't want to, ideally you didn't want to be there, did you? But we made, there was a lot of camaraderie there, a lot of hijinks and fun.